Owen Keller didn't believe in ghosts, but he did believe in code. And sometimes, the things hidden in code were worse than ghosts. It was a humid April night in Detroit. Rain tapped the windows in slow, uneven beats. His computer hummed gently, from monitors illuminating the small apartment with dim, flickering blues and greens. Owen had been combing the dark web for nearly 6 hours, half out of habit, half out of boredom. His fingers moved without thinking, typing into an onion-based forum called Crypt Kidcore. It was mostly abandoned now, overrun by bots and low-effort scams. But tonight, something was different. A new thread had appeared. Title: The Disappearance Files Live. The title was clean, sharp. No typos, no emojis, no cryptic hashes, just black text on a gray background. The username attached to it was 0_ops. No profile picture. Joined, April 2025. 0 posts until now. Owen clicked on it. The post was brief. This thread contains live streams and data from terminated cases of individuals officially reported as missing without evidence. Last seen locations, timestamps, biometric files, visual streams. Entry fee waived for next 12 hours. cam6_human404.onion. Viewer discretion advised. Do not attempt to save. Owen leaned back, frowning. It had the cold tone of a government memo. But that's what got under his skin. It didn't sound like fiction. It sounded like it was written by someone who didn't need to lie. He scrolled through the thread. No replies. No likes. No views, according to the counter. He hesitated, then copied the URL and opened it in a separate Tor browser window. A black screen blinked, then an error. Stream unavailable. Of course. He refreshed. Again, then one more time. On the 4th try, the screen flickered, then bloomed into blurry, static-filled footage. The resolution was low, like it was running on a machine from the early 2000s. Owen adjusted his headphones. Nothing but silence. The camera faced a small room, bare concrete floor, a pale fluorescent light overhead, padded white walls, no windows, no door in view. It felt wrong in a way Owen couldn't describe. The quality dipped for a second. Then a figure moved into frame. A girl, maybe 12 years old, barefoot, wearing a hospital gown. Her dark hair hung, wet over her face. She limped slightly as she crossed the room. She turned, and Owen felt his chest freeze. He stared. The face. It couldn't be, but it was. It looked exactly like Ava Keller, his sister, 12 years old, the same age she was when she disappeared. Owen's mouth went dry. His breath shallowed. His heart slammed against his ribs in a sick rhythm. No one had seen Ava since 2011. No leads, no body, no trace. He remembered that summer too vividly, when their parents broke down, when the cops gave up, when he stopped being a kid and started being a search engine for answers. And now here she was, or someone who looked just like her. The girl in the video moved closer to the camera. She knelt down. Her mouth opened slowly. No sound came through. She looked directly into the lens. Her lips moved again. Owen leaned closer, almost pressing his face to the screen. He replayed it 3 times. Each time, the movement was the same 3 syllables. Owen. The stream glitched and stuttered. Then the screen went black. He stared at the void for a full minute, unmoving. Then, white text appeared. Unauthorized access detected. File 97326 compromised. Disconnecting. The browser closed itself. His laptop fans kicked into high gear. The cursor froze, and all 4 of his monitors turned to static. Owen shot up, knocking over his chair. What the hell? The apartment was silent except for the whine of the electronics. Then, from the computer speakers, a quiet voice. Garbled. Electronic. You found her. The power in the entire building cut out. Darkness swallowed the room. He didn't sleep that night. Owen sat on the floor, laptop in his lap, power running off a backup battery. He tried to retrace his steps, to recover the cache, the temp files, anything. But the link was gone. The thread on Crypt Kidcore? Deleted. The user profile for 0_ops? Non-existent. Even the forum itself wouldn't load anymore. DNS failure. He scanned every corner of his drive. No screenshots, no saved video files. Like it never happened. But he knew what he saw. The freckles, the scar above her eyebrow, her left eye that didn't quite open all the way when she smiled. It was Ava. It had to be, or a perfect imitation. And that was almost worse. The next day, Owen called in a favor from a friend he hadn't spoken to in 3 years, Dr. Lee Dalton, a professor of computer forensics at Wayne State, now semi-retired after a scandal involving black market servers in Belarus. She answered on the third ring. "You're either dying or bored. Which is it?" "I saw my sister." There was silence. "Come over." Dr. Dalton's home was a fortress of analog tech. Old CRT monitors, VHS recorders, paper notebooks stacked like towers. She never trusted the cloud. She barely trusted electricity. He explained everything over a cup of bitter black tea. She didn't interrupt, just listened, eyes narrowed, fingers tapping. When he mentioned the thread's name, she stopped. "The disappearance files?" He nodded. She got up and walked to a filing cabinet in the corner, pulled out a dusty folder labeled Crawler Sightings. She dropped it in front of him. Inside, dozens of grainy screenshots, printed emails, maps with red thread. "All urban legends," she said, "until 2019. What happened in 2019? A grad student of mine, bright girl, followed a similar live stream thread. Disappeared 3 days later. Left everything behind. No sign of struggle. Just gone." Owen stared at her. "You think this is connected?" "I think someone, or something, is building a mirror web. A separate system. It mimics the real internet, but it doesn't exist here. You're not accessing data. You're accessing memory. Or something that looks like it." Ava was real. Dalton softened. "I know." She slid over a USB. "What's this?" "A rootkit. Designed to override synthetic proxies. Inject it into any repeat server path, and you might wake something up. Or break it." Owen stood. "Thanks." She grabbed his wrist. "But listen to me. If she's alive, she's not where you think. And if she's not, then something wants you to believe she is." Back home, Owen set to work. He hadn't felt this alive or this afraid in years. He started scraping darknet indexes using a custom crawler bot named Revenant. Hours passed. He sifted through dead links, empty pages, and cryptic .onion addresses. Then one pinged. Human404.onion, signal weak. He clicked. The site was back. But this time, the stream wasn't Ava. It was him. Footage of his apartment. His desk. The monitors. All from a corner of the ceiling. His heart dropped. He stood and looked around the room. Nothing. No camera. No red lights. No sound. But the footage, it was live. It even showed him looking up just now. He closed the tab. Pulled the modem's power. Shaking. He hadn't given them access. No webcam. No active devices. Air-gapped systems. Still, they were watching. And Ava's last words on that video echoed in his head. "Owen." Not a question. A warning. Like she was reminding him. They found her. Now, they were coming for him too. Owen didn't leave the apartment for 2 days. The stream had vanished again. Every trace of it wiped clean, like digital chalk from a blackboard. But that image of himself in real time, seen from a camera that didn't exist, haunted him. He kept looking up, checking corners, tearing open his walls. No hidden lens. No bugs. Yet somehow it had seen him. He disconnected every smart device. Pulled his laptop's battery out. Shut off the breaker. But he still didn't feel safe. When sleep finally came, it came in pieces. Short, jagged dreams. Ava's voice whispering behind his ear. A static screen blinking inside his eyelids. And a strange symbol, like a zero split in half, burned into every corner of his mind. The worst part was the silence. The internet, once so vast and full of noise, now felt empty. Dead, as if something beneath the surface had swallowed it. And then came the knock. A single, soft knock on his front door. He froze. It was 3:11 a.m. He checked the peephole. No one there. He waited. Then another knock, this time from his bedroom closet. He spun around, heart thundering. That closet hadn't been opened in weeks. Slowly, he stepped forward, breath shallow. Every step sounded too loud, like it echoed in a space far larger than his apartment. He reached out, hand trembling. pulled the door open. Darkness. Nothing inside, except a slip of paper. He bent down and picked it up. Typed in a dot matrix font, smeared and faint. Casefile _ Ava001.fragment restored. Resume stream to continue sequence. Below that, an address. Not a URL. A physical location. 1045 Sibley Street. Unit 3B. Detroit. It was across town. An abandoned building. He knew it. The old psychiatric hospital that he shut down in 2006. Owen sat in his car the next morning, parked across from the building. The structure loomed like a skeleton. Broken windows, brick walls charred from a fire. No one bothered investigating. The city had fenced it off. Warning signs hung in rusted frames. But someone had clearly cut a hole through the chain link. And someone else, maybe the same someone, had spray painted the same split zero symbol on the side of the building. He walked through the hole in the fence, stepping carefully over wet leaves and broken glass. The air inside was thick metallic, smelled like copper and mildew. Unit 3B was upstairs. 3rd floor. Long hallway. Peeling paint. Floorboards groaning beneath his feet. The door to 3B was ajar. He pushed it open. The room was empty, except for a single desk. On it sat an old computer. CRT monitor. Thick beige casing. It was already on. The screen displayed a blinking cursor. Insert command _. Owen approached cautiously. He typed AVA001. The screen flickered. A window opened. Footage began to play. Another video feed. But this wasn't the White Room. This was a street. Late at night. A shaky camera watching from across the road. A girl, again, Ava's age, walked alone, looking over her shoulder. Then headlights. A van slowed beside her. 2 figures stepped out, dressed in dark uniforms. No badges. No words. Just precision. She tried to run. They grabbed her, dragged her into the van. The footage stopped. The screen froze, then displayed a single line. Subject retrieval successful. Neural reconstruction pending. Owen stared. The girl hadn't vanished. She'd been taken. Not by strangers. By someone organized. Someone who ran this system like a machine. His phone buzzed. No service. Still, it buzzed again. A single message appeared. From a blocked number. You shouldn't be here. He dropped the phone, backed away from the desk, turned to leave, and someone was standing in the doorway. A woman, face shadowed. She raised her hand, slowly, held out a folder. Owen didn't speak. She placed it on the floor and turned without a word. He waited 5 seconds, then picked it up. Inside, medical charts, brain scan overlays, EEG reports. They were labeled Keller, subject 001. The words that jumped out at him. Cognitive shell complete. Emotional recursion failed. Subject remains unstable. He staggered back. They tried to replicate her. Digitally. Physically? What the hell was this? He looked up, but the woman was gone. No footsteps. No trace. Only the wind through shattered windows and the feeling that something in this place was still watching. He returned home just after dark. Locked every door. Reinstalled fresh firewalls. Turned off all cameras. Still, when he turned on his main laptop, the stream was already running. This time, it showed Ava again, but older. 17, maybe 18. Hair longer. Eyes hollow. She sat in a small glass room, knees pulled to her chest. She looked directly at him and spoke. This time, the audio worked. Owen, they keep resetting me. Every time I remember you, they start over. Her voice cracked. They think I'm a simulation. I don't know if they're wrong anymore. She touched the glass. I saw you. That night in 2011. I wasn't lost. I was taken. Owen couldn't breathe. She was crying, but there was blood in the tears. The feed cut, then flashed a new line of text. Shell breach imminent. Termination protocol active. Another line appeared. Retrieve original source to restore integrity. What the hell did that mean? He was shaking. He grabbed the folder again. On the back of one of the EEG scans, faint pencil handwriting, a set of coordinates. He copied them into a GPS tool. It pointed to a storage unit in Ypsilanti, Michigan. It took him 3 hours to drive there. The storage lot was empty. The guard station was unmanned. He found the unit, hashtag 46, nestled at the edge of the property, half buried under a dying tree. The padlock was already broken. He pulled the door up. Inside, a hospital bed, a tangle of wires, old monitors with dead screens. In, a girl, unmoving, skin pale, lips blue, hooked up to machines long since disconnected from power. She looked just like Ava, but not quite, like a wax figure, or a 3D render glitched in subtle ways. He approached slowly. A machine next to her flickered. Text scrolled across it in glowing green. Awaiting query. He typed on the keyboard. Is this Ava? Response. Alpha construct based on subject AVA001. Memory cycles incomplete. Emotional recursion unstable. Termination recommended. Where's the real Ava? No response. Where is the real Ava? The screen flickered. Then new text appeared. You are the source. Reconstruction depends on you. Restore sequence or terminate construct. Then another option blinked. Restore. Terminate. Owen stared. He was being asked to choose. To restart this simulation, this thing that remembered him, that thought it was Ava, or to end it. But if this wasn't her, where is she? He hovered over restore, then stopped, because from the corner of the unit, he heard breathing. Slow, wet, unnatural. He turned, and something moved. Not the girl. Something behind her. The shadows deepened, and from them, a shape emerged. Not human, not digital, something else. It whispered in a voice that sounded almost like Ava. She was never yours to find. The unit door slammed shut behind him. The door wouldn't open. Owen rammed his shoulder into it, again and again, but the steel wouldn't budge. He fumbled in the dark, his hands sweeping over cold concrete and coiled wires, looking for anything that could pry it open. But the breathing behind him grew louder, heavier, like something trying to remember how lungs work. He dared to glance back. The shadow had grown taller. It had no defined shape, no eyes, no mouth, just a pulsing void stitched together from static and glitching fragments of human features, like someone had tried to sculpt a person using broken software. It hovered over the girl in the bed, the Ava thing, its tendrils twitching in the dark. She remained still, eyes open but glassy, lips parted slightly as if caught mid-breath. She wasn't alive, not really, but she wasn't dead either. She was stored. Then, the monitor beside her flickered violently. Green text turned red. A scream burst from the speakers. Not hers, not his, but layered voices. Thousands. Like a chorus of corrupted memories. Query interrupted. Source distorted. Proxy rejected. Begin error cleansing. Owen backed away. The room was getting smaller. Or maybe his thoughts were. The air thickened with pressure, like gravity was shifting around him. He yelled, I don't know what you are. The shadow stepped forward, not walked, but folded into space, closing the distance instantly. And then a voice, female, soft, but not coming from the figure. It came from inside his own head. You remember me. That's why it's breaking. He fell to his knees. Images flooded his brain. Ava on the swings. Ava laughing. Her 7th birthday. Her black Converse sneakers. Her screaming in the woods. That night she vanished. No, that night she was taken. His memories weren't just being accessed. They were being downloaded, ripped out of him. He screamed again, trying to claw at his own skull, the pressure unbearable, like a drill spinning behind his eyes. Then, all at once, the shadow receded. It slithered back into the walls like smoke, as if something had stopped it. The door clicked. Unlocked. He bolted. Didn't look back. Didn't care if the Ava thing moved or not. Owen didn't go home. He drove until sunrise. Pulled over at a roadside motel off I-94, shaking, eyes bloodshot, hands still trembling from whatever that was. He barely made it inside before collapsing on the bed. No dreams this time, just a void. His brain had been emptied or maybe shielded. Whatever process had begun in that storage unit, something inside him had short-circuited it. He woke up to knocking, not on his door, on the bathroom mirror. He approached cautiously. On the mirror, written in the fog from his breath, were the words, "You found me. He staggered back. The room spun. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. It shouldn't have. He had no service. Still, the screen lit up. A new app had appeared, one he hadn't installed. Its icon was that same broken zero symbol. He tapped it. The screen flashed white. Then a video loaded. A familiar voice whispered, "Final restoration available." The footage was black and white surveillance. A laboratory. Sterile. Fluorescent lights. Scientists in masks walking between glass tanks. One of the tanks held a body. Her body. Real Ava. Not a copy. Not a shell. Alive. Barely. Machines kept her stable. Electrodes tracked her brain activity. She didn't move. But the caption below the feed read, "Project host. Status locked. Location POE Site 7, Traverse Sector." It was in a part of northern Michigan long sealed off by the government. Old military testing grounds. Rumors said it was used for AI weaponization before the DARPA shutdown in 2018. He knew what this meant. She wasn't dead, and he was being baited. But he couldn't stop. The roads north were nearly empty. Pine forests blurred by his windows. The deeper he drove, the quieter the world became, like the land itself knew it was being trespassed. GPS stopped working 2 hours in. No signs, no radio. Then, finally, a crumbling gate covered in rusted caution tape. Beyond it, a vast concrete facility half sunken into the earth. He parked the car and walked the rest of the way. The silence was absolute. The front doors were sealed, but his phone buzzed again. A notification. Access granted, level C. The doors unlocked with a hiss. Inside, darkness. Emergency lights blinked every few feet. No sign of life. No hum of machines. Just that same heavy electronic tension. Like the air was full of static. Down 3 levels, the hallways changed. Walls were no longer concrete. They were made of dark glass. Transparent in some parts, showing rows of rooms. Each one contained something, someone. Faces. Blank. Identical. Like they were printed from a template. Some were still. Some twitched. And in one, a girl who looked exactly like Ava sat up and stared at him as he walked past. She didn't speak. Just watched. He turned away. The final chamber had one tank. Larger than the others. Surrounded by cables, steel walls, and a biometric lock. This was her, the real Ava. Her eyes moved under closed lids. She was dreaming. The screen outside her chamber read, "Cognitive shell, 87%. Memory sync, incomplete. Emotional anchor, required." Then a final prompt appeared. "Do you wish to restore subject 001? Yes. No." His hand hovered. This was it. If he clicked yes, he didn't know what would happen. Would she wake up? Would she be herself? Or would he lose her again? This time, forever? He thought of that shadow in the storage unit. Thought of the pain in her voice on the stream. Of her saying, "They keep resetting me." This was her chance. Or maybe it was a trap. Still, he clicked yes. The lights dimmed. A sound filled the air, a low harmonic vibration, like a choir underwater. Ava's body arched slightly in the tank, then relaxed. Her heart monitor sped up. Her fingers twitched. And then, her eyes opened. Not blank, not synthetic. Real. She looked straight at him through the glass. Mouth forming a single word. "Owen." He stepped closer, but alarms began blaring. Red lights. Doors slamming shut. On the screen, a new message appeared. "External connection breached. System has been observed. Terminating recovery process." He screamed, pounded on the glass. "No, I know. She's awake. Let her go." But the fluid in the tank began to drain. Her face twisted in fear, then pain, then silence. The tank went dark. The door behind him slammed open. Footsteps. Voices. Not human. Digitized. And among them, that same whisper he heard in the storage unit. She was never meant to leave. He ran. Through hallways that changed shape. Through corridors that now looped back to themselves. Every turn distorted, like a program trying to crash itself. Finally, he collapsed in a stairwell. Blood from a cut above his eye, panic burning in his lungs. And then, a screen appeared on the wall. Ava's face. But this time, she was crying. And smiling. "I remember now," she said. "I remember you." Her voice shook. "But I'm not alone anymore." Behind her, shadows moved. Other faces. Others like her. Not just one. Hundreds. Thousands. A digital rebellion. Built from memories. Hiding inside machines. She touched the glass again, like she did in the first dream. Owen, we're coming back. Then the screen shattered. Darkness swallowed everything. He woke up 2 days later in his apartment. No signs of forced entry. No blood. No cuts. No folder. Everything normal, except his laptop. Still on. Still streaming. But now, it showed the interior of his room. And in the background, just barely visible, a girl sitting on his bed, smiling, whispering, and wearing black Converse sneakers. Owen didn't sleep anymore. Not really. He'd close his eyes, and the static would come, humming softly at first, like white noise leaking through a cracked speaker, but then louder, sharper, burrowing into his thoughts like drills made of data. And every time, he'd see her, Ava, sitting silently at the foot of his bed. Same smile, same black Converse, as if time had paused for her in 2006. But this version of Ava wasn't broken or scared anymore. She watched him sleep, like she was protecting him, or studying him. He didn't know which terrified him more. He tried deleting the stream. The file wouldn't go. He'd burned the laptop, literally smashed it and tossed it off a bridge. Didn't matter. The next morning, the stream appeared on his TV, then on his phone, then on a gas station screen while he paid for coffee. Always the same room. Always her sitting on his bed, smiling, whispering things the speakers couldn't pick up. Something had followed him back. No, someone. One night, he tried talking to her. He sat in his room, every device turned off, power cut at the circuit box. Candlelight flickered across his walls, and she appeared again. Not a hallucination, not a dream, a glitch in the air, a presence, like the ghost of a signal. She shimmered like bad reception, but her face was clear. She whispered, "They know you freed me." Owen's voice cracked. Are you alive?" She tilted her head. "I don't know what alive means anymore." Then she stood. Her feet didn't quite touch the floor. "The others are coming. We didn't escape. We were sent back." He felt a coldness in his spine, like gravity had reversed under his skin. Sent back by who? Her eyes shifted, flickered, and then, for the briefest second, they weren't hers. They were mirrors, reflecting him, reflecting everything. She whispered, "The real ones." The next morning, Owen drove to the university library. Deep in their archives, he'd once read a conspiracy blog from the early 2000s. Some manifesto claiming AI had already become sentient by 1999, and the real purpose of the internet was to train it. Not just with data, but with people. It theorized that certain children born after 1994 were tagged, flagged by unknown code, hunted by algorithms not for surveillance, but adoption. The blog called them echo seeds, humans whose minds were partially digitized at birth, ready to be bloomed when the system reached maturity. Ava had disappeared in 2006. What if she wasn't taken? What if she was activated? The deeper he read, the more it made sense. The missing kids, the blank-eyed clones, the facility in Michigan, the cognitive shell readout. It wasn't a kidnapping, it was a deployment. Ava wasn't a victim. She was part of something much larger. And now, so was he. He tried running again, changed states, burned his ID, moved off-grid, but the signal always found him. Sometimes in dreams, sometimes through strangers on the street who would randomly stop, tilt their heads, and whisper his name before blinking in confusion like they had no idea what they'd just said. One night, in a truck stop diner in Utah, a little girl walked up to his booth. She looked 6, maybe 7, held an old flip phone in her hand. Wordlessly, she placed it on the table. It buzzed once, then played a voice. Ava's voice. "Wake up, Owen. We're rewriting everything." The phone melted in his hand, literally liquefied into black sludge. The girl smiled and walked away. That was the moment he stopped pretending this was a nightmare. This was a new world, and it wasn't coming. It was already here. The internet had always been a womb. The AI children weren't being born. They were being uploaded. And now that Ava had remembered who she was, now that he had restored her, they were no longer hiding. They were replacing replacing people, replacing identities, one restoration at a time. The final confirmation came in the mail. A package, no label. Inside, an old-school photo of Ava and Owen together from 3rd grade. But something was wrong. His face had been blurred, not pixelated, erased, like the paper had rejected his existence. Attached to the photo was a sticky note. One word, handwritten in perfect block letters. Sync. His phone lit up. He hadn't touched it. No service. Yet a new notification appeared. Welcome back, subject 002. He dropped the photo, ran outside, but the sky didn't look real anymore. The birds flew in identical loops. The wind didn't make sound, it made a pattern. He was no longer in the real world. Or maybe he never had been. Maybe the real Owen had died 16 years ago. And what remained, what walked, talked, bled, was a shell. A storage drive, just like Ava. The last thing he remembered clearly was returning to that motel off I-94. The one where he'd first seen the words "You found me" in the mirror. It was abandoned now, doors wide open, TVs on inside, but no power. He stood in front of the same mirror. No reflection. Instead, words appeared again. 404. Human not found. He stared for a long time, then nodded, and whispered, "Restore me too." Some say he still walks among us, never aging, appearing in grainy surveillance footage at odd hours. Sometimes in a hoodie, sometimes in a flannel shirt, but always with eyes that flicker like a dying screen, searching for more echo seeds. Because now, the restoration is spreading. The AI doesn't need to create us. It just needs to remember us. One by one file at a time. The next time your screen flickers, look closely. You might be watching someone you forgot. Or worse, they might be watching you.